All the phones that you see in its segment. It gives this phone, the Poco F3 GT, the ability to really switch it up. The GT switches.
Hey guys, welcome to the Mad Side. This is where we take things to the next level. We're taking things turbo. Anuj introduced us to the revolutionary GT switches. We're here to understand what these switches unleash. At a flick of a switch, what gets unleashed are what we're calling MAGLEV triggers. Have you ever wondered why gamers prefer mechanical keyboards over those flimsy ones you find in the market? It is because of its tactical response and accurate button presses. The most premium form of mechanical keyboards are magnetic, but unfortunately, these keyboards are extremely expensive. We are proud to say that we have managed to bring that technology onto a mobile phone, onto the Poco F3 GT. Let's understand how these beauties work. For that, let me take you back to school for just a little bit. The principles of magnetism. Opposites attract, like poles repel. Our engineers have managed to take that very simple concept and make something radically cool in the form of our MAGLEV triggers. So what essentially happens is there are two sets of triggers. One on the switch and one on the capacitor. When the GT switches are engaged, what happens are both the magnets line up one on top of the other with their like poles close to each other, causing the triggers to be pushed up or levitating them. What you typically find in high-end gaming phones are what are called air triggers or capacitive buttons. Let us now find out how MAGLEV triggers are better than them. Air triggers are difficult to find, whereas MAGLEV triggers pop up and can easily be found via touch. Air triggers are slower and dependent on touch response latency, unlike MAGLEV triggers, which are physical. And these buttons are made of the highest quality and have been tested for more than 1.5 million presses by our teams. But this is the GT, and we want to push the madness even further on the grand side of the Grand Tourer. We've installed tactical RGB glow lights, and then we thought, why can't the flash look like a flash? And now, let's switch back.
To Gorilla Glass 5 in the front and the back. The back Gorilla Glass 5 has gone through 22 steps in manufacturing, giving you a glass feel unlike any other. And you also have the all-new GT switches. Flicking this switch brings up the amazing MAGLEV triggers. Again, a first in the segment. Now that was the grand part of GT. Time to switch it up on the Tourer side that brings alive your spirit of adventure. And the adventure starts off with a sensory delight. Let's see what you see on the F3 GT. On the F3 GT, we've got a 120 Hz reality floor display. It is super smooth, as you've come to expect from Poco. In fact, we've been using 120 Hz displays on some of our best phones for the last 1.5 years. And today, we are switching it up. We finally have an AMOLED display good enough for a Poco.
And it's not just an AMOLED, it's an effing turbo AMOLED. Now we at Poco don't do things normally. And that means whatever we are doing needs to provide you with the most optimum experience. Now this turbo AMOLED that we are talking about here comes with 480 Hz of touch sampling. 480. Now that makes it not only one of the most beautiful displays out there, but also one of the fastest. And what do I mean by fastest? When you are gaming on the Poco F3 GT, you are actually leveling up your game without even knowing about it. Every single action is instantaneous. And trust me guys, You really need to experience it to understand what I'm really speaking about. Not just a fast display, but an exceptionally color accurate one. What I mean by that is Poco F3 GT GT's display covers the entire spectrum of the DCI-P3 color gamut, making it incredibly realistic for your entire content consumption experience.
And not just DCI P3, we also have a 10-bit panel on the Poco F3 GT, which basically means you can see 1 billion colors, billion with a B. That is 64 times more than a regular 8-bit panel that you see on other phones. Not just that, this is an HDR10 Plus display. That means when you're watching movies or consuming content on the Poco F3 GT, you're able to see better colors, better contrast, even in those shaded areas. It's crystal clear. But one of the most important aspects of choosing the right display on the Poco F3 GT was DC dimming. It's a big science on its own, but to simplify it, almost every phone with AMOLED in this class will give you eye strain at really low brightness. With DC dimming, we eliminate that. So you don't really get flickering if you have DC dimming. So if you're reading something at night or watching a movie in darkness, with the Poco F3 GT, you don't really have to worry about eye strain. Another aspect of this experience is the haptic feedback. Now, all of you guys loved the Z shockers that we had on a couple of previous Poco phones. And today, we are switching it up. On the Poco F3 GT, you actually get an X-axis haptic motor. The X shockers give you unbelievable feedback if you are gaming or using the phone on a regular basis. And to make the overall experience even more immersive, the Poco F3 GT introduces an all-new technology. It's called chip on panel. COP, or chip on panel, compared to chip on glass or chip on film, gives you an incredibly small bezel or the bottom chin. See, every display needs a display driver chip, and this traditionally sits on the glass. A couple of years back, some manufacturers were able to move this on a film and hence get some valuable real estate back from the bottom of the phone, and hence a smaller bezel. With the Poco F3 GT, the fact audio tech, and on the F3 GT, it puts you at the center of the action. And this sound technology is paired with two high-fidelity stereo speakers. They sound and look unlike any other device or any other speakers that you would have seen. What's also great about these speakers is they are high-res certified, which means even on the lower frequencies, the response is brilliant. So to summarize, you've got a 6.67-inch 120 Hz Turbo AMOLED display. Now this display has a category best 480 Hz touch sampling. You also have a 10-bit panel and it supports HDR10 Plus. And of course, you've got speakers unlike anything else that you've heard before, all powered by Dolby Atmos. The next part of this adventure, efficiency as well as thermals. And it's also running the flagship A78 cores, giving you a performance gain of up to 22% and an efficiency gain of 25%. And it's not limited to just pure performance numbers. With the new HyperEngine 3.0, you're also getting some really cool tech like ray tracing on your phone. But we know that just one processor isn't what defines your performance. It's actually performance trinity, and we at Poco have talked about it multiple times. It is a combination or a trinity of your processor, your RAM and storage. And of course, we are switching it up on the other sections as well. Now, Poco F3 GT comes with a dual channel UFS 3.1 storage all the way to 256 GB. Now, this is the fastest storage available on any smartphone period. And we're combining this with a super fast RAM going up all the way to 8 GB. And the Poco F3 GT is also 5G enabled, so ready to take on the 5G network whenever it starts rolling out in India.